world feels fractured. Political polarization and social division widen daily, making it seem like we're spiraling into an unbridgeable chasm. Conversations that once seemed simple are now battlefields. But within this storm, there's an ancient practice that can guide us: Stoicism. Not the common teachings we hear about resilience or accepting fate, but deeper, lesser-known Stoic principles. These hidden lessons provide a path to not only survive division, but to rise above it, clearer and stronger. Let's explore these rare teachings, shaping how we face today's most challenging conflicts and find balance in a polarized world. So start with our first lesson, which is the power of perceptual distancing. Amid today's political chaos, emotions are like wildfires, spreading fast and without thought. Perceptual distancing, a lesser-known Stoic practice, allows us to see clearly by stepping back mentally. Marcus Aurelius hinted at it, writing, "You have the power to strip away many superfluous troubles, for they lie entirely in your own opinion." Imagine you're in the heat of a debate, whether with family, online, or at work. Instead of reacting instinctively, visualize yourself stepping back from the moment, seeing the scene from above. You're not avoiding the conversation. You're observing it with detachment. The faces, the tension, the aggressive words, they're all just fleeting, temporary. This mental distance gives you a chance to see that most conflicts are driven by emotional overreaction rather than substance. This distance is your shield. By perceiving the moment from an elevated perspective, you understand the nature of conflict without being consumed by it. You see the irrationality, and you choose not to be swept away by it. This isn't retreating. It's about recognizing that the momentary storm of emotions doesn't have the lasting power we often give it. With perceptual distancing, you stay grounded. The noise around you, political, social, personal, can rage on, but you remain unshaken. This ability allows you to engage with clarity, keeping your values intact. The world's chaos loses its grip on you, and you become a beacon of calm in the storm. Second, cultivating voluntary discomfort. When people face divisive issues, the instinct is to retreat into comfort zones. But Stoicism offers a less common approach: voluntary discomfort, purposely seeking out discomfort to prepare for hardship. Epictetus urged this practice to build resilience. The goal? To strengthen your inner resolve by choosing discomfort before it chooses you. Picture yourself in a room filled with people whose views starkly oppose yours. It's uncomfortable, and your instinct may be to leave or avoid confrontation. Instead, you deliberately stay in the discomfort. You don't seek to win the argument. You're here to train your endurance in difficult environments. The room becomes your gym, the tension your weights. Over time, engaging in discomfort, whether it's tough conversations, exposing yourself to opposing views, or even physical hardships like fasting, strengthens your emotional armor. The discomfort no longer controls you. You gain a quiet strength, knowing you've already faced situations worse than what the world can throw at you. Practicing voluntary discomfort builds mental endurance. You begin to notice that you can handle what others find unbearable. Polarization no longer frightens you, and the once feared conflict becomes a challenge you are ready for. When the stakes are real and the division sharp, your capacity to withstand the heat without breaking sets you apart. By willingly walking into discomfort, you emerge stronger. You can endure disagreement, division, and disarray because you've trained yourself to handle it. And in that endurance lies power, a power few understand but many admire. Third, practicing reverse empathy. In divisive times, we often talk about empathy, understanding someone else's feelings. But Stoicism encourages a deeper practice. Reverse empathy, not just understanding the surface emotions, but probing the deeper fears and irrationalities behind someone's extreme stance. Marcus Aurelius taught, "The mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting." Imagine facing someone vehemently opposed to your worldview. They're angry, emotional, and their words cut deep. Instead of reacting defensively, ask yourself, what's driving their anger? What deep-seated fear or insecurity fuels their emotional intensity? Reverse empathy is about understanding the root of their behavior, even when it seems irrational. By practicing reverse empathy, you gain insight into their hidden motivations. You see that their anger may not be about you or the issue itself, but about something they are afraid of losing or something unresolved within them. This shifts your response from confrontation to compassion. Not a weak compassion, but one based on understanding. Once you understand the emotional source behind someone's behavior, you stop seeing them as an enemy and start viewing them as someone trapped in their own chaos. This doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but it softens your reaction. You no longer respond with the same hostility. Instead, you create space for the conversation to evolve, potentially leading to real dialogue. Reverse empathy is a tool for neutralizing conflict. It allows you to see the person beneath the anger and division, shifting the focus from winning to understanding. This Stoic technique disarms tension and transforms hostility into connection. Fourth, the rule of assumed ignorance. In a polarized world, everyone believes they hold the ultimate truth. Yet, the Stoics practiced the rule of assumed ignorance, acknowledging that, at any given moment, you might be wrong. Socrates, who deeply influenced Stoicism, famously said his wisdom lay in knowing how little he truly knew. Picture yourself entering a contentious political discussion. Instead of preparing to defend your beliefs, imagine that you were wrong. For just a moment, strip away your certainty and embrace the possibility that there's something you don't know, something you're not seeing. This shift disarms the defensive posture and opens the door to real dialogue. By assuming ignorance, you stop focusing on proving your point and start listening. You become genuinely curious about the other person's perspective. This isn't an act of submission, it's a practice of openness. You're not conceding, but you're also not clinging to rigid certainty. When you approach debates or disagreements with this mindset, the conversation transforms. People become more open to sharing honestly because they sense that you aren't trying to win. You're trying to understand. Ironically, this openness often leads to more persuasive outcomes. You become a better communicator, more adaptable, and in many cases, you end up learning more than you thought possible. The rule of assumed ignorance doesn't mean you abandon your beliefs. It means you're open to evolving them, to growing from the perspectives of others. In a world so focused on proving rightness, this quiet humility becomes your greatest strength. Fifth, the paradox of trivialization. One of Stoicism's lesser-known tools is the paradox of trivialization, the practice of mentally reducing significant emotional events to trivial matters. Seneca wrote about the tendency to blow situations out of proportion, often giving them more weight than they deserve. Picture yourself in the middle of a heated political debate. Voices are raised, emotions are raw, and the air feels thick with tension. In the midst of this, you mentally zoom out and reduce the importance of the situation. These are just words, just opinions, and the intensity you feel is temporary. The moment feels massive, but in reality, it's just one brief encounter in your entire life. The paradox is that by shrinking the importance of the moment, you actually grow in stature. You stop feeling the need to defend yourself at all costs or engage in endless back and forths. You realize that this one conversation, this one argument, will pass, just like everything else. By mentally trivializing the situation, you release yourself from its emotional hold. This isn't dismissing the issue. It's about putting the conflict into perspective. You stop seeing the argument as life-altering and start seeing it for what it really is, a fleeting moment in time that will soon be forgotten. In practicing the paradox of trivialization, you gain a deeper understanding of what truly matters and what doesn't. Polarization loses its grip on you because you've learned to see beyond the immediate emotions. This practice frees you from the heaviness of conflict, allowing you to move through it with lightness and control. Sixth, tactical Stoic optimism. Stoicism isn't known for its optimism, but there's a tactical form of Stoic optimism that offers surprising power. The Stoics didn't deny that life is full of hardship, but they believed in finding value in every struggle. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Think of a time when political arguments or social issues seemed hopeless. The divide felt too wide, the conversations too hostile. Instead of focusing on the division, the Stoic approach asks you to find the opportunity hidden within the conflict. It's not about pretending the conflict doesn't exist. It's about turning the conflict into fuel for growth. What's the potential in this argument? Where is the growth? Perhaps it's a chance to refine your communication, to better understand your own beliefs, or even to practice patience. By viewing every divisive conversation as a training ground, you turn the hardship into something that works for you rather than against you. This form of optimism isn't blind faith that everything will be okay. It's the practical belief that even in chaos, there's something valuable. You might not be able to resolve the polarization overnight, but you can use it to develop your own mental toughness, resilience, and clarity. Tactical Stoic optimism shifts your perspective from frustration to opportunity. The very thing that causes division becomes a tool you use to sharpen yourself. While others see only conflict, you see growth. And in that mindset lies the key to thriving in a divided world. Seventh, the practice of pre-conflict visualization. In the rush of conflict, whether it's political or personal, emotions can take over. One often overlooked Stoic tool is the practice of pre-conflict visualization, mentally rehearsing potential conflicts before they happen to remain composed. Seneca recommended this practice not to anticipate disaster, but to prepare emotionally for challenges. Imagine the tension before entering a conversation you know will become divisive. Instead of walking in unprepared, you take a moment beforehand to picture the coming argument in your mind. You see the faces of the people involved, hear their words, feel their emotional charge. But as you visualize, you also imagine yourself staying calm, unshaken by their reactions. You've seen this moment before, so when it happens, you aren't surprised by the conflict or overwhelmed by emotion. By anticipating conflict in your mind, you build an emotional resilience that others don't have. They are caught off guard by anger, while you remain composed, having mentally faced the storm before it arrived. This practice allows you to become the eye of the hurricane, calm while chaos swirls around you. You don't visualize to predict doom, but to strengthen your ability to remain steady in the face of division. In time, you'll notice that fewer conflicts will catch you off guard. You'll walk into contentious conversations with a sense of calm control because you've already seen this play out in your mind. Pre-conflict visualization turns the unexpected into the expected, and this inner readiness gives you power over situations that destabilize others. Eighth, the hidden strength in allowing silence. In today's divided world, people rush to fill silence with arguments, rebuttals, or defensive words. However, one of the most underused Stoic techniques is allowing silence. Instead of reacting immediately or feeling pressured to respond in a heated moment, the Stoics practiced restraint, letting silence do its work. Epictetus emphasized control over our responses, and silence can often be the most powerful response of all. Picture a scenario where someone challenges your beliefs in a politically charged debate. The tension is thick, and they expect you to react. But instead of replying with words, you pause. You let the silence hang in the air, not as a retreat, but as an intentional act. Silence doesn't mean you agree or concede. It shows control, a command over the need to speak when nothing productive will come from it. What happens next is often surprising. The other person starts to question their approach. Silence disrupts the flow of confrontation because they expect you to push back. By choosing not to, you create space for reflection, not just for them, but for yourself. The argument begins to lose its heat, and in that void, something unexpected emerges: clarity. The space that silence creates often opens the door to better, calmer dialogue. Allowing silence shows that you are not a slave to your emotions or the need to be heard. You become the master of the conversation, controlling not just what is said, but what is left unsaid. This rare strength can shift the dynamic of division, making space for peace where words would only fuel the fire. Ninth, the art of micro-gratitude. Gratitude is often associated with the big things in life, but the Stoics taught something subtler: micro-gratitude, finding appreciation in the smallest, seemingly insignificant aspects of daily life. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, would remind himself to notice the beauty in simple things like the cracks in bread or the way leaves change color. In times of division, this practice becomes a profound anchor. Imagine waking up in a world filled with arguments and hostility. The news is grim, and conversations with friends or coworkers feel more combative. But instead of being consumed by this negativity, you intentionally focus on something small. The warmth of sunlight on your face, the smell of fresh coffee, or the quiet moments between the noise. You find gratitude not in grand gestures, but in the subtle experiences often overlooked. This practice doesn't erase the division around you, but it changes your relationship with it. When you cultivate microgratitude, you shift your focus away from what is tearing people apart and towards what is holding your own emotional state together. Small moments of appreciation become mental anchors that keep you grounded amidst the chaos. Over time, microgratitude rewires your emotional responses to polarization. You no longer feel overwhelmed by the macro problems of the world because your focus is sharpened to see the beauty in the small. This inner shift allows you to stay calm and centered while others spiral into frustration. Through this Stoic lens, even the most divided world still offers moments of peace if you choose to see them. 10th, the unseen virtue of welcoming uncertainty. In a polarized society, the need for certainty drives much of the conflict. People cling to rigid beliefs, fearing the discomfort of the unknown. However, one of the most overlooked Stoic virtues is the ability to welcome uncertainty, not as a weakness, but as a strength. The Stoics believed that life's unpredictability was a given, and true wisdom lay in accepting this. Think of the last time you faced an uncertain political or social situation. Perhaps the future felt unstable, or you weren't sure how to navigate a conversation where everything seemed unpredictable. The default reaction is fear or anxiety, but the Stoics taught that uncertainty is inevitable and resisting it only creates suffering. By welcoming uncertainty, you release yourself from the need to control every outcome. When you accept that uncertainty is a natural part of life, political polarization becomes less threatening. Instead of fearing where the division might lead or what others will think of your views, you embrace the unknown as part of the process. This doesn't mean you become passive. Rather, you take action with the understanding that outcomes are never guaranteed, and that's okay. By practicing this virtue, you stop needing to have all the answers, and in that freedom, you find flexibility. You become open to learning, to change, and to growth. While others are rigidly trying to predict and control every aspect of the future, you move with it, welcoming whatever may come. This Stoic embrace of uncertainty transforms division into an opportunity for discovery, rather than a source of fear. In the midst of a divided world, real strength lies not in overpowering others, but in mastering yourself. These Stoic practices don't just help you survive the storm of polarization. They turn chaos into clarity and division into growth. When you stand unshaken by the noise around you, you rise above it all. And this is just the beginning. There's so much more waiting to be discovered. New ways to sharpen your mind and strengthen your resolve. So, if you found value here, like this video, subscribe to our channel and explore our other videos for more insights. The journey continues.